Hey guys, it's Aislinn, and in today's video, we are going to be trying Olaplex. Now, I personally have never used Olaplex. I think it's maybe been used on myself when I worked at the salon, but we had like an off-brand Olaplex, so I'm not even really sure if we've used it before. I don't really remember using it on other people. I have tried like dupes for it before, but Olaplex I've never tried. So I decided to purchase some and try it for you guys. So I got the whole entire kit. We're gonna have to read the instructions because again, I am unfamiliar with this. We're gonna try some bleach with Olaplex and without Olaplex and see if I can visually see a difference. Now here's the thing. Olaplex is not an external remedy for your hair. It's supposed to go internally and help with the bonds of your hair. It's not necessarily something that you're just going to look at the hair and be like, oh, I can tell. I do want to see if I can see or feel a difference. We'll check the elasticity of the hair and see if there is a big difference between using it and not using it. I'll put what I'm reading on screen so you can like read it with me. So step number 1 is the bond multiplier. It says before installing dosage dispenser, shake lightly, use caution with heat. If successfully using previous directions, please continue to do so. Directions for use. Mix lightener or color thoroughly first before adding and mixing Olaplex. After adding bond multiplier, you may add more lightener, powder, or developer for desired consistency. If you're using lightener and foils, add 1/8 ounce of bond multiplier for 1 to 2 ounces of lightening powder. For anything less, add 1/16. And then it has different like methods. So for balayage, you need to add this much. For color, you need to add this much. And then you're supposed to shampoo, lightener, or rinse the color from the hair, and then follow the instructions for step number 2. So step number 2 is the Bond Perfector. It says after shampooing, lightener, or rinsing color from hair, towel dry, apply a generous amount of number 2 Bond Perfector from roots to ends, comb through, rinse from hair, then shampoo again, and then condition. And then at the bottom, I feel like this is very important to say, so I'll just add this in here. At the bottom of the package, it says, Olaplex is not a magic wand. You can push the envelope and process further and lift higher, but you cannot take dark hair and damaged hair and make it platinum blonde and healthy looking in 90 minutes. We want everyone to be successful with Olaplex. Be cautious and use professional common sense. Do not process hair with Olaplex that you would normally not process without Olaplex. Please read directions and use and download the Olaplex app from the App Store or Google Play to see how other professionals use Olaplex. Olaplex works on all hair types and Olaplex is against animal testing. So I feel like that is so important to include in here because I have seen so many hair care miracle products that just claim to be it. Like, this is all you need. This is like the miracle thing. It's going to make your hair. There is nothing else like this on the market. Olaplex seems to take like a very humble approach by saying like, this is not a magic wand. This is not a miracle product. Like, don't be stupid. Use common sense. If you're not going to bleach your hair that's already damaged, okay, and it's platinum blonde and it's gushy, then don't use it with Olaplex because it's not going to help you that much, okay? We have 2 Olaplex number 2s, and then we have 1 Olaplex number 1, and we have this thing that screws in the top. It has markings on it, milliliters and ounces, so that way you know how much you need to add into your lightener. I'm going to be using 30 volume today. I would use 40 volume, but I don't have any, so I'm just going to be using the highest volume developer I have, which is 30. Now, I do remember when I first heard about Olaplex and we were talking about offering it in the salon, there was a very, very mixed communication between the company and between stylists. There was this thing going around saying that if you use Olaplex, you need to bump up your developer because by adding Olaplex, it bumps it down. So if you're using 30 volume and you add Olaplex, you're only going to be at a 20 volume. I have since heard that they have changed it, so now you don't need to bump up the volume developer, but I specifically remember the packaging saying if you were going to use it to bump up the developer level. It's nice to just like stick with what you would normally use and not have to worry about like correcting the developer based on using Olaplex or not using it. Okay, so I have my lightener mixed up. It has the same amount in both sides. So I'm just going to add the Olaplex to the right hand side and I'm only going to do 1/16 because I don't have very much lightener mixed up at all. I'm going to go ahead and do 1/16. It'll be interesting to see if the hair lifts differently, like if one lifts more than the other. Here is the Olaplex. Let's go ahead and open up the top. I will say this dropper thing is really handy. Okay, so there's 1/16. I'm gonna go ahead and add that into the right hand side of my bowl. Now I'm going to set up a second camera angle and point it at my desk so that way you guys can see what's going on as I'm applying the product. Okay, so I just have some extensions that were sewn into my hair. I took them out, so we're gonna go ahead and do it on here. So I just split this into 2 different sections, and I'm gonna go ahead and apply the Olaplex side first. And obviously this is on pre-lightened hair. This hair has been lightened before in the factory. Make sure everything is saturated really good. Okay, let's move on to the side without Olaplex. This one was easier to apply because it had some of that oil in it. This side's just a little bit thicker. All right, we've got both sides applied. I'm just gonna cover these with another sheet of aluminum foil so that way they don't dry out, and I'm gonna let these process for an hour. I wanna leave them on for quite a while so that way we can really assess if there is a lot of damage being done. So I'm just gonna let these process for an hour and I will be back to do step 2. All right, I am back. I let it process for the full 60 minutes. I just washed it. I didn't use conditioner or anything. I followed the instructions and just washed out the bleach. Here are the 2 different swatches. This is the one with Olaplex. This is the one without. So I am ready to apply step 2. So I'm gonna go ahead and set you up with a different angle. That way you guys can see what it looks like. Okay, so we have Olaplex number 2. So we're gonna go ahead and apply this all over the strand here. And we're just gonna leave this one alone and not mess with it. So now that we have this good and saturated, I'm going to let this sit 5 to 10 minutes and then we're going to shampoo, condition, and I'm going to blow dry both swatches and I'll come back and let you know my final thoughts. Before I go, I do want to talk about when I wash off the bleach, how the hair strands felt when I was washing it off because I did notice a difference. So I started by washing the strand that did not have any Olaplex on it, which is this one, and then I went ahead and washed the strand with Olaplex. And I could tell a difference in the elasticity of the hair when I was washing it. The one without Olaplex felt a little bit more mushy and a little bit more stretchy. And then when I rinsed off the one that had the Olaplex on it, it was not as elastic and not as stretchy as the one without it. When I was washing them, I audibly was like, oh my gosh, because I couldn't believe I could actually feel a difference in like the elasticity and the strength of the hair. So we're gonna wait and see what Olaplex number 2 does and see if it makes it feel even better. All right, you guys, I am back. I went ahead and washed out the Olaplex step number 2 and then conditioned that one strand. And then I just blow dried both of the strands. So here are the results between the two. Now this one has more hair on it, so it looks a little bit fuller just because it has a tiny bit more hair than this strand. But this is the one without Olaplex. This is a strand with Olaplex. Personally, I don't see a difference. They don't feel any different once they're dry. But again, Olaplex isn't necessarily supposed to like fix the outside appearance and the way it feels on the outside. It's supposed to like hold the integrity on the inside of your cuticle. It's supposed to have that bond enforcing in it to try and prevent damage and also like repair it. So the outer appearance isn't really going to change. I felt the most difference when the hair was wet. When I washed off both strands that had the bleach on them, I felt a very defined difference between the one that had Olaplex on it and the one that didn't. Like I said, the strand that didn't have Olaplex on it seemed to be a little bit more mushy and elastic. The one that had Olaplex on it didn't seem to be as elastic and it seemed to be more firm and like holding its place. So hopefully that makes sense to you guys. I didn't notice the difference when blow drying. To me, they feel and look about the exact same. Is Olaplex worth it? I don't know. I kind of feel like why not add a little bit more protection? It's better to be safe than sorry. I'm going to start using Olaplex in any colors I use on my hair, whether it's semi-permanent, demi-permanent, permanent. I will continue to put Olaplex in there. Now that I have it, I'm going to use it no matter what. I just feel like it can't really hurt anything, you know, it's not gonna harm anything. So I would do it just to have that added security of mind. I will say, if you can't afford it, I think the Schwarzkopf Blonde Me Bleach is a perfect dupe for that. It already has a bond enforcing agent in the bleach, so you don't have to worry about adding a different step or doing step 2. It already has that worked into the bleach, so you don't have to worry about it. So I would say if you can't afford to get like a separate product like Olaplex because it is pretty expensive, if you're going to get bleach and do your hair at home, I would recommend getting the Schwarzkopf Blonde Me bleach. I'll leave that linked down below because you can find it off of Amazon. What I would do if I was doing my hair at home and I couldn't afford to get Olaplex, like the system of Olaplex, because it is very pricey, I would get the Schwarzkopf bleach, and I would probably get like a treatment from Olaplex because it's cheaper just to get a treatment than it is to get the whole entire kit with like the bond enforcing and then step 2 and then the oil. Like all that stuff is very, very pricey when you put it together. That is all for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I hope it helped you if you were curious about Olaplex or if you were thinking about using it. Give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. I love you guys so much, and until next time, guys, stay weird. Bye.